Back when I was in my mid to late teen years, I lived with my mom and sister in Salt Lake City, Utah. My mom had recently gotten a divorce with my dad after years of constant abuse and neglect. He'd always be out drinking and would never care for us kids when we needed it. This resulted in my mom having to leave work early just so she can pick us up from school and cook dinner. Mind you, she was also the only one who worked and paid bills while my dad basically freeloaded off of her. After some time, however, my mom decided to put her foot down and leave him. We struggled with rent and my mom was almost at the point of a burnout. I couldn't stand seeing my mom like this, so I decided to get a part-time job at a local movie theater down the street. The pay wasn't the best, but it was enough to at least help us get by. My schedule worked around school, so I had been working mostly nights, which meant that the theater would be packed during the weekends. One night during the week, however, I had been called into work after one of my coworkers had quit to go start his own business in custom cleaning. This made me annoyed that I had to work more, but it also meant more money in my pocket at the end of the week. It was a Wednesday night and was slow, with there only being about 5 other people in the theater. There were also no movies available that most people wanted to see, which also contributed to the lack of moviegoers. With there being very few people, my boss allowed me to use my headphones while I worked and that I could possibly leave early if nobody else was here. Because it was getting late, I went ahead and closed the concession stand and got a broom and dustpan to clean. As I'm sweeping the floor, I go over to the theaters and start cleaning up there when I see someone with a hoodie on sitting in one of the chairs by the front row. Normally I wouldn't really care, but management was cracking down on people staying after a showing had ended. As politely as I could, I call out to them saying, Sir, we're closing up. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." However, there was no response. Whoever it was just sat there, not even acknowledging me. Figuring he might have been asleep, I put down the broom and walk over to where he was sitting. When I approached the person sitting down, I came to the realization that this man was actually a woman, I'd say about mid to late 20s. She had appeared to be sleeping with her head tilted back, and when I tapped her to wake her up, she just falls over towards me. It was at that moment when I realized that she had been dead. Her pale, lifeless body just laid there on the floor while I was practically screaming my lungs out while crying. This got the attention of my manager and my other coworker who had come in to see what happened, who were rightfully terrified as well. My manager told us to go while he called the police to report it. The strange thing was that I didn't remember checking this woman into the theater, meaning she probably snuck in with someone. The entire movie theater was evacuated and had turned into a crime scene within the hour. There were tons of police and some other vehicle that read Investigative Crime Scene Unit or something. I watched as the paramedics carried her into the ambulance while my coworker and I just sat in despair. Someone, somewhere, loved that woman dearly, and I couldn't imagine the pain and grief her family had when they learned about her passing. What made it even worse is that police weren't able to identify as to how she died, even after an autopsy. Many have speculated that she had died from a drug overdose or even a stroke. I quit my job after that, as I couldn't stand the constant thought of that woman. I'm now 21 and have moved past it, and now work as an independent contractor for a sales company. I haven't been back nor worked at another movie theater since then, and have just stuck to watching streaming services instead.
This is something that happened not too long ago while at the movies for our anniversary. It's something that many women today unfortunately go through, and the people who do it are all too common. My girlfriend and I have been together for about 6 years now. It's possibly been the greatest 6 years of my life. We've developed a really strong relationship over the years, and I couldn't ask for anything better. For context, this happened last year during the summer, when we went out for our anniversary to the movies. I know many people say the movies was probably the worst place to take your significant other, but we're really enjoying a good movie here and there. On top of that, we haven't been to the movies in a while, so we figured a nice night out would be a breath of fresh air. This particular night was the premiere of Barbie movie, a movie my girlfriend practically begged me to go to. She was even dressed up in her pink outfit to match the rest of the moviegoers, also seeing the movie. As you probably know, both Barbie and Oppenheimer were a big deal for a lot of people in late 2023, hence why we had to go see it. Anyways, that night we had bought our tickets. We were directed by the ticket taker to head over to Theater 7 for the movie. The hallway in the theater was shaped like a U, so you could go either right or left. Theater 7 was the largest screening room in the building, a perfect size for a premiere showing. The second we go inside, we're met with an audience full of couples and groups of friends dressed in pink talking amongst the crowd. There had to be at least 100+ people in the theater eager waiting for the movie to start. The screen above had this sort of grayish look and color which indicated that the previews hadn't even started yet. At this point, the theater is decently packed as usual, and we soon began to worry that we wouldn't be able to find any seats. Now, there was a section of seats on the front, which of many were empty, but sitting in the front of the movie theater sucks, and neither of us wanted to watch the movie from there. Thankfully, however, my girlfriend managed to spot 2 empty seats near the back row. We'd take them before anyone else could. They weren't the best seats, but at least they weren't the front row seats. While I wasn't a fan of Barbie, I still enjoyed seeing my girlfriend happy by something I knew she'd enjoy. After a while, my girlfriend goes down to the lobby to buy drinks, and that addicting movie theater popcorn. Eventually, she had come back just in time for the movie to start. Fast forward about 20 minutes into the movie, we're in the part where Barbie's meeting Sasha, when I take notice of my girlfriend glancing over at the guy sitting next to the left of her. He didn't appear to be with anyone, and was just kind of sitting in an odd position, not really watching the movie. Mind you, he had a hoodie on, so I wasn't able to see his full face, but I could see that he was an older looking man. I'd say maybe about 40 or 50, presumably sleeping. The smell of marijuana filled our noses, and we even considered to find another seat, or leave. Just one look at him, I could tell that he was definitely not someone you'd see at the movie like this. Then again, this was a movie my girlfriend was thrilled about, and I didn't want to ruin it for her. Long story short, we make the best of it and tried our best just to sit through the movie not thinking about him. At one point, I see the man sitting next to her begin to intensely look at her in the sort of perverted way. This of course angered me, and I straight up told him that if he kept looking at her, that I'd call security. He then looks away, and I thought that was the end of it. In fact, he even turned away to face the opposite direction, so he wouldn't see us, which was alright for me. At this point, we're about halfway into the movie when I look over to my girlfriend, and I see that the man's casually trying to touch her crotch. My girlfriend thankfully sees this and gets up and starts yelling at him, which ended up getting the attention of the theater. I was so close to knocking him out, you wouldn't even begin to understand how pissed I was. As my girlfriend and I are putting him in his place, he gets up and just walks out of the theater, while everyone's looking at each other in confusion. Kids begin crying and parents were shocked. We walk out of the theater getting a hold of security where my girlfriend explains what had happened. It didn't take long for security and police to find the man in the bathroom, and eventually arrest him, even though he claimed he never did such a thing. However, my girlfriend and I made it clear that he definitely did do it, declaring we were not stupid. Police had requested to management if they could review the footage of Theater 7. As they're reviewing the footage, they see that the man had clearly groped my girlfriend, and that pretty much said it all. My girlfriend and I were questioned by police, and I was offered a full refund for the inconvenience. I comforted my girlfriend for the rest of the night, and assured her that he would never touch her again. Turns out the police and the theater had actually had problems with this guy before, for similar reasons. There was even a point where he had been banned from the theater for airdropping inappropriate photos to people, and even their kids. I obviously can't reveal the name of the person due to privacy reasons, but I hope he serves a hefty amount of jail time. I have no idea how he didn't go to jail for this, and I don't even remember if he was actually sent to jail. Needless to say, we never went to that movie theater for a while after that. Whenever we go out anywhere else, I always make sure my girlfriend is in sight, and that she doesn't sit next to anyone shady or sketchy.
This happened about 2 weeks ago while I was working my part-time job at a movie theater. This isn't the type of story to make you jump out of your seat type of story, but it's an example of how scary AI has become. Anyway, here it is. It was a Friday night, and I had been cleaning up one of the theaters after a huge showing of Night Swim, a film that should have never been made, I'd like to add. I'm sweeping the floor and collecting buckets of spilled popcorn when I get a call from an unknown number. Now, I normally don't answer unknown calls, but for whatever reason, I answer it and hear my mom on the other end. She sounds distressed on the other end and frantically tells me something that made my blood run cold.
Honey, you need to listen to me. These people, they kidnapped me. You need to send them $3,000 or else they are going to kill me. Please, do it now.
Rightfully, I tell her to stay put and that I'll do it. I run to my manager and explain the situation, and he tells me to step outside and that he was calling the police. I give my mom a call from her cell and she picks up. This time, she sounds perfectly normal. I tell her not to worry and that I'll send the money and that I need the account number. At this point, she's instantly confused and had said that she didn't know what I was talking about. I went on to explain the call I had gotten, and after several confirmations, we came to the realization that whatever call I had gotten wasn't from my mom. Whoever sent that call was using AI to match my mom's voice just so they could get a quick buck. Thank God I called her actual phone, or else I would have been scammed dearly. We tried reporting it to the police, but there was ultimately nothing they could do to trace it since it was a fake number. To anyone else watching, I emphasize to please think twice about sending money to anyone. AI has gotten too far with these fake phone calls, and it's scary to think how many people might have fallen for this.